face, hasn't it? But they've done a really good job. It seems to be going really smooth. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go on a whirlwind trip. And so we're going to show you what all I love about digital notebooks. And so let's give this a shot. I'm going to start right here. This year, I knew things were going to be different. And so I thought it might be a good year for kids to get involved with anthropomorphism. A lot of times when we're trying to teach kids about their emotions and feelings, research shows that they actually do a better job by looking at in animals than they do even in themselves. And so I spent all summer reading these novels. I loved it. It was fun. There wasn't anything else to do. And so the purpose of it was to help them understand about their feelings more in this challenging year, and to write their own anthropomorphic novel, which they're in the midst of right now, that will be published by Lulu Publishing. So when it comes back, it'll be a hardcover book and look like everything else. It was going to extend their vocabulary. And so a lot of all that good stuff that we always put in there. So I created these digital notebooks. I saw actually someone that was using these and on Facebook post, got real interested in it, started exploring them a little bit more. And this past summer, I made these digital notebooks. There was one on the novel project, one on active reading, which would help them to get into their novels more. The novel project was actually put on 2 levels, making it easier for younger kids. Affective was addressed in several notebooks. Critical thinking, there was a thinking fun puzzle. And these are just some of the notebooks that I used. And they all actually served that purpose. All right, so now then, this is a closer look at some of them. You can see that whenever you are making these notebooks, if you do it the way that pretty much everyone does, it will be the shape of a notebook. However, you are using Google Slides to create these. You just change the directions around at the top where it tells how big the page is going to be, and it looks like a notebook. And so all the kids were real excited to see these notebooks. They all had the animal theme on the front. Now, I will always use these notebooks. I really think they're a great way for kids to have what is an ongoing portfolio of their work in GT for that year or for that unit. They were excited to see these pictures of animals on the front. And so next year, whatever we do, I'll definitely will go that route. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about the anthropomorphic and tell you why I think this works really good for notebooks. You will see if you look under the website under anthropomorphism, these are all the different novels that we used. And there's a lot of them because 2nd through 6th we're reading these. So they were on different reading ability levels. I wanted each kid to be excited about their book, but I did not want them to choose their book this year. I kind of felt like I knew them pretty well. I want them to read something they might not choose. And so here's an example of Watership Down. We had a big reveal. The kids were real excited at the beginning of the year. The books were all wrapped as presents, and they were situated around the room. Kids wondered what one they were going to get. And on the big reveal day, they got their book. And then they got on their website and they could look their book up and see something more about it. I wrote them a letter. This is a picture of this student who got Watership Down. And if you've read that, you know that's a challenging read. And so underneath there, it has a lot of information. So they spent a day just exploring their book with what was there. And this was done for each one of the books. So it was a good way to introduce that and get it going. We'll look at a few others while we're here. On this one, here's Martin's Mice. That's for an easier student. I'm having trouble. I may be getting everybody coming in a little bit. All right, so that was what this was. On the main page, you can see a lot of the books that were read, and that was the beginning thing that we did. All right, so I need to move. I think this has popped up. I need it to move it down so I can't get to my screen. So y'all can bear with me. Okay. Now then, another thing I did besides the notebooks that I want to share with you that I think was really a great thing for me, and I will do this every year also, I got interested in what are called digital media slides. So although we were remote for a time, still we use these, and it is a little, I guess you might call a cutesy slide that has all the information of what we're going to be involved in that day. The background of it stayed pretty much the same, and you can see it looks like a room. There were shells that stayed the same, but it did evolve. So here's an example. It shows what we're going to be doing that day over here, what pages we're going to be using in the notebook that we're using that day, what the main themes are going to be for that day. We're going to talk about conflict in novels, because we did spend pretty much the first semester learning about novel writing and how you go about planning. And then the videos that we watched, and they're all right here, so I could open them from here. The neat thing about this is I saved each one of these. So these are all of those media centers from the entire year. This worked out really good because it shows a progression of what we did, but also if a student was absent for maybe they were sick or they were gone or whatever, they had access to this, and they could get into the past slides for their grade level, find the date was always there, and then they would know what we did that day and be able to make more sense of it when they got into their Google Classroom, which worked out really well too. I like the idea of this. It's the first thing we do. It's how we start the day. And so this was the one that we had for February 23rd. They had learned how to format their novel with paragraphs. That week, their word goal was 8,000 words. They learned about getting their cast of characters pictorialized so they could be in their books as well. So let's look at the notebooks, and we're just going to briefly look at them so you can see what they are, and you will have access to all of these. So this is the inside of the book that's for 5th and 6th grade novel project. Inside that book, there are these things that are covered, picking a theme, your characters, all of these. Now, I did add to this notebook quite a bit. It has 172 pages. It is a resource that we did not go through one page at a time, but skipped around. And this comes from a place that's very good. I added a lot of stuff, changed it up quite a bit to meet my students, but let me get down here. It's called NAMO Writers. If you've not heard of that, I know I'm making you dizzy. If you've not heard of NAMO Writers, it's a great young writers project that's online. It has a lot of help for teachers. I did change that. This is Lulu Publishing is also who is going to be publishing our novels as they're finished. But we skipped around. Now there are pages in it that they work, and they can click inside and work right there. They actually added slides to their notebook. So for instance, along the way, let's say that we were talking about characters. Let me go up here and look at this one. Real characters first. They may add some slides with pictures of their animal characters because their novels are all anthropomorphic as well. And so they were actually building into this notebook slides or pages that were expressly theirs. That's a great thing that I do like about the use of those notebooks, is that you can manage to accomplish that. So it covers everything. The table of contents, when you make a digital notebook, you have the ability also, just like you would in a normal book, to make this be a link to the slide that you want to go to. So I'm picking the theme, that's slide 18, they have this, it takes them straight there. So if we were skipping around the notebook, they all know to go to the table of contents, and we will go to the section that we're going to cover today. What I discovered is that making a true notebook, particularly if it's going to be a resource notebook that they're going to be learning from, contributing to, the table of contents is pretty important. However, once they start adding a lot of content to the notebook themselves, of course, these numbers are going to be off. It does, however, help them get in the general direction that these are. So right now the students are involved in writing. They've been through all of the things that are, like, for instance, on dialogue. They've learned about how dialogue is written in a novel. One of the most interesting things that I come upon was that you don't really necessarily have to put all those words like whispered or yelled. Most novels just simply use the word said. They learned about that. But this is an active thing that moves, breathes, becomes their own. They learned about how to plot using the roller coaster. This was a really good session for them and was the way they began planning when we finally reached that. So been a busy, busy year. So I'll show you, this is a young man's plan. And they knew on their roller coaster, their novels have to be a minimum of 20,000 words. They knew that they were going to have probably close to 65 scenes before they got to the climax. And so that was a big thing that they worked on that took a lot of time. And I'll tell you, this is the very first time I can honestly say I've managed to get my GT students to plan. They just want to jump straight into something. So I spent a lot of time talking about how it takes a long, long time to write a novel if you don't have a plan. And that although they're probably going to spend all this time on the plan, once they get to the novel, they are going to be appreciative. And they have all realized that. This past week, well, actually yesterday, Tuesday and Wednesday, fifth and sixth graders all managed to write 2,000 words in two GT class periods. When we first started doing this, it's interesting that if somebody wants to work on a doctorate, this would be a good thing to look at. When they first started writing the first 2 weeks, they were probably about like 750 words, but now they're just flying. So this is the same young man's novel that we looked at the plan, and you'll see it reads like a novel. And this definitely comes from all the background work that was in the notebook. The farm was huge and full of animals. It was set smack dab in the middle of the Ozarks. It had a big 2-story farmhouse with a wraparound porch and a squeaky storm door, a shop that had a leaky roof for several years, a vegetable garden, and an animal feed shed. And of course, it has the animals, chickens, rabbits, turkeys, and ducks. There was also a cat and 2 dogs, but those aren't farm animals. The property was covered in beautiful trees and thick green grass. The rumbling sound was Joe, the owner of the farm, in his pickup truck. And I have been really shocked at the quality that, I mean, didn't know what to expect. But all of that first semester work, when they said, when are we going to finally write? When are we going to finally write? Did pay off. So that is the novel notebook. This is one that was on 2nd to 4th grade. However, I will tell you this. My 2nd and 3rd graders this year are, because the 2nd graders were new, I really felt like this might be too much for them. They may do it next year. So this was mainly 4th grade. 4th grade has done this one, and I think it was a wise choice. They have the same topics that were in the notebook for older students. However, it's a little bit more, I think maybe age appropriate. There's not quite as much to read. I mean, the content is there. I mean, it's not watered down, but it's just arranged a little bit differently. These notebooks are already equipped where they can just click in anywhere and type. And typically when I got to messing with this, I found out that it's always good if you're going to create a notebook and you're putting in places for students to write. And I do have some videos that show you how to do this. You use shapes, and you can even decide how big you want the print to be when they're typing. So, this one is automatically at 24 with bold, because it's just easier for younger kids to use. Same thing here, we skipped around. Their word count for their published novel is not nearly as high. I think they have to have 10,000 words. The older kids, 4th, 5th, and 6th have 20,000. This is another notebook that I actually purchased and then added to, and it comes from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I'm going to show you in a minute. There are places there where people are just now getting into these, and they have notebooks created that you can buy. This one was on, like I said, on animals. I actually ended up dividing this one up and making each one a separate notebook because it was so long, it was taking too long for them to load up. And so what I did, I made an amphibian book, a bird book, fish book, all those. And at the end, there was a big certificate that said, that you're now an amphibian specialist. This has been a great thing for them. I inserted inside the notebook that I purchased, I changed it up. I inserted the videos that the kids would watch. So this is a general one on amphibians. How the notebook was all laid out was it had an article that was appropriate for kids that are like 3rd grade, 4th grade. And then it has annotating tools. So they could learn how to annotate by bringing over and highlighting or underlining or circling things that were important. And they really like using those tools, which encourage the reading and the content, and also maybe be a little bit more of a focused reader. And then they add information here that they've learned. Questions are here. And this goes on through all these different types. This one's on, starts out with amphibians. There's places where they sometimes drag boxes with information over there and put them in the right category. And so lots of wonderful things that they could do. And here again, here is a video about the giant salamander because they're getting into newts. They have really liked doing this. And they're real proud once they finished an animal group. So what ended up doing, let me move this down, it's in my way again. I'll just X that out. What they ended up doing, I taught them some computer technology skills within their notebooks. And we started out learning how to add a slide, how to put in color, how to look for transparent shapes, how to use the text and change it. Then they got into learning how to do layers. And this is 2nd and 3rd graders. And of course, this is a little boy that loves to hunt. You can probably tell the fox has caught the rabbit. Here's one. He didn't get this one quite finished, but I think it's really funny. It says sniff, sniff, and there's a baby with our new president. And in the midst of all of the videos that they watched, they began to write down what they thought was a thing that should be remembered in the video. And they used technology skills, or we're going to call graphic design skills, to make theirs their own. They love doing this. It's gotten to be where their color savvy is amazing to me. So throughout each of the notebooks, and when we go back to the animal notebook, whenever we talk about all these different animal groups, they have along the line, the first one, they learned, beginning skills as far as graphics and adding color. And it's just building up. They've gotten gradually a lot more complex. And truthfully, right now, they probably know more about how to do that than I would say my older kids do. So we're back on the graphic design. I think that this will be something that will be beneficial to them next year as we go on forward and have them be able to make presentations or just create things, because they really like doing that. Boys like doing this. I was surprised they really got into this. So I encourage you to think about the possibility of using a digital notebook for even more than what it's designed for, which is a content area, or it's a focused place to learn, a focused place to show your work, a portfolio, but also can be a place to teach technology skills. Now, this is one we're going to do when they're on their, they're about to finish their next to the last animal group, and then we go to mammals. And after we finish mammals, we're going to use this one. I did not find this on Teachers Pay Teachers. I found it on a source. It's at the end. I won't scroll all the way down there, but I really like it. We've actually done a few of these. So it gets them to use some critical thinking about, is this a good exhibit? Why or why not? And of course, they feel like they're animal specialists after they've gone through all these different types and have gotten this certificate. They're all into it. But this actually gets into so many things. It gets into, what problems do you see here? What problems do you see here? and it gets into the way that zoos used to be, which is shocking to most of them. It's going to get into how do you know if something is alive or not? It gets into all kinds of things that have to do that with the animal world, and particularly as zoos. And then at the end, they end up designing a zoo. And at that point, probably the last maybe 4 weeks of school, we're going to actually try to do one where we use maybe boxes and make some things that's not necessarily online. But this definitely prepares them to think about animals and how they are seen, viewed, and how zoos operate. This notebook was one that I got from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I'll tell you, the folder I'm going to share with you, it's already on there. I'll tell you this, you will have to contact me and let me give you the editing rights once you open up that in the attachment that's there, which I will do. But there are two notebooks that you will need to purchase. And I'm going to tell you why I went ahead and posted them. This is one of them, the Thinking Fun. Well, I purchased these knowing, and they weren't that terribly expensive, knowing that this is something that I needed. I knew we were going virtual. I didn't know how long it would be, but I knew I needed something along this line. And if nothing else, it would be something that kids could do if they finish something early in GT. They could pull this thinking notebook out and play around with it. So what I did, there were all of these different types of puzzles. This is the table of contents for those. They do different things. They're all fun, but they're very challenging. And so I bought this one was not made to be like a digital notebook. I bought, these were just books. Like for instance, this one, How to Solve an Anagram. It's Teacher Pay Teacher. She had this book there. You could purchase it. I bought the bundle. And then I downloaded them, turned them into JPEG so I could load them back up into the Google Notebook. And then I inserted shapes so kids could write in them. It took a long, long time. I'm just going to tell you that. A long time. That's one reason I wanted to share this, because I would never want to put anybody else through that. So why would you not go ahead and use it? I do want you to purchase it, as I said, because I don't want to get arrested, by the police. But the boxes are there so that you don't have to do that in there. And this is long. There's a lot of, look at how many different types of puzzles there are here. I mean, we're on 172 pages of puzzles. There's enough here for you to do for a whole year if you want to. For seriously, there is. All kinds, anagrams. This one is fun. This one drove them crazy. They had more fun with this one. So you say these words until you hear a word. Like the chocolate brownies was easy, chocolate brownies. But some of these you have to really think and really train your ears to do a weird things that it's never done before. Tons of different types of puzzles, all kinds. You'd have to figure out who a character is from there. This type of logic puzzle, and you've seen these before, they're real popular. There are some logic puzzles in here, and we get on down here, word clouds that are here, all kinds of things. I don't know what happened to me. I think I must have, this type of puzzle, they're all here. Even this one, that was fun to put those boxes in, I assure you. It was awful, but they're there, and kids like them. And here's the neat thing, if you give them, like, say, puzzles to do, for instance, they're on paper and they're in the trash. When they do this, they have a collection of all the puzzles they have solved. And they like that because I've told them, I said, you can skip around, you can work all one type. But they do know, that their goal is try to work the puzzles. There is a key for this book. It's another notebook I made. I'm not going to show you that one, but it does have the key in there, because I'm going to tell you some of those are kind of tricky. I had to look them up, and maybe you won't, but boy, I did. I don't have to be gifted. I just have to teach them. And so, what they believe is okay. I let them think that I can do these, and it doesn't matter if I can or can't, I guess. Okay, so this one was addressed to the affective. because like I said, I did not know what was going to happen. So I wanted to try to create notebooks that would take care of all those different domains that we tried to address. So this one was on wisdom. Uh, this is my copy. I don't have a student copy, but this is the master one. This is the one you'll get. And what I did, and this could be done in any type of quotes. I mean, you could do one on just general quotations. It does not have to be with novels, but since that's what we were doing, that's the way I went. So these are from all the different novels that students had. And so what happens is we talked about how you discover wisdom. You have to connect it to the real world. We went through all of these different things. We practiced, talked about them. We did this one together. This is from the book called A Mouse Called Wolf. And the quote is, "Then she saw that a single sheet of music had been left lying on the piano stool. Just what I need to start making my nest with." So what is the wisdom? And they're going to get all different kinds of ideas about what that wisdom is. They type it here, you click in, and there's a place to type. And and then they do that. And then you're going to take the wisdom and apply it to their lives. So it says the character noticed the music and immediately thought of possibilities. What does it mean to notice? Why are we often not good at noticing? And they have a response here that they have to pull up something connected to their life or their experience. For some of the students, it took a while for them to catch on to this, but they got pretty good at it. What does it mean to not notice? So you could take any quote. Now, this one just happens to go through with everything that we've been through. I had a 6th grade boy who devoured Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some animals are not more equal than others. Something so famous. How does that apply? And a lot of the kids think that their brothers and sisters' lives are much more equal than their own. If you didn't know that already, you probably did. So you can see how this works. All right, so there's a lot in here and the neat thing about a notebook is when you're making them, you don't have to feel like, oh gosh, I've got to get everything done for this whole unit. You can actually create the notebook in chunks, do a couple of weeks at a time, then add a couple of weeks more and a couple of weeks more. It doesn't have to be finished from beginning to the end. They can grow and change just like anything else can. The younger kids did this. Now, actually, I think older kids would benefit from this too. So this was the Aesop's Fable version. And here are the fables that we covered that are in here. I was going to add some more. We've gotten really caught up in the animal notebook, and we haven't done this in a while. We did for pretty often. I think we've got most of them done, but there's a lot more that could be added. And so what it looks like is this. It tells them what a fable is. And then there are 2 formats of these fables. And of course, it went well with anthropomorphism. So here is the written version of the frogs and the ox. And then here is a video that they watch. The videos are not lengthy. It worked out that if I could show them at school on the screen for the virtual kids, they could watch it at home. But honestly, what I found out is that it was for 2nd, 3rd graders. They really are able to focus much, much more on this if they watch the video by looking at if they have a device, looking at their device and wearing the headphones. They just do. That's the world they live in. But what they do is at the end, it says, what is the lesson for you? And then they write in their lesson and then we discuss it. And the kids, 2nd graders are very good at this. What did you think the lesson was about this frog? What was it? And they'll share their lesson. And the thing that has most shocked me is that they hardly ever think it's the same thing. I mean, I would have thought that there would have been at least some, there'd be some of them that would think it's the same thing. They hardly ever do. And that's interesting to me. I don't really know why that is. We've done it several ways. Sometimes I'll read the story first, and then we watch the video. and then we do the lesson. But the interesting thing about doing that is often Aesop's fable is going to be different than the way it's presented in the video, which there again lends itself to talking about, what were the differences that you saw. This is a good daily, I do it once a week activity. It doesn't take very long at all, but it also gets kids to thinking about some of those things that are, important that maybe sometimes we don't think so much about. So I think that one works really good for younger kids. I think it'd be good for older kids too. And actually, the older kids, we did a couple of them, and I told them, I said, you have the choice. You can read. You can go ahead and read the story and watch the video, or if you want to just do one or the other, I don't really care, because it didn't matter to me. I just wanted to get the idea and the thinking going. It didn't matter whether they read it or not. The next one I'm going to show you is the active reading notebook. And, we all lived through the science of reading, but it had some good stuff. Bad thing was you had to get about halfway through it till the good stuff. I decided that what they did, they knew that it should have been flipped, but they probably thought that we'd figure out a way to go ahead and move that little thing over, showing we'd walked the video, watched all the video, but it was good. So this is GT's answer, or it was my answer for supporting the science of reading. And it's good stuff. Since they were reading anthropomorphic novels, we're going to talk about summary writing, what it is not, highlighting rules. You can't make the page look like it bled red. And one time I said, you don't want it to look like someone peed all over your page. Don't highlight what you already know. We talked about annotating, what that looks like. These were the annotating tools that we used. We didn't use, this is just something I thought would be good. A new word, don't understand, wow, I can't believe it. Figurative language. We were looking for great writing, mainly because we knew the novel writing was coming. So looking for that. And then we did talk about the idea of using Post-its. And since each student kept their book, this was a possibility. At the first, they were interested in doing the Post-it notes. And then, like me, it was just easier to write in the book. So it started out, this was for each one. I've just pulled one up here. They had the chapter number. And so it didn't matter if they had, 20 chapters, 15 chapters, or 45. They are going to put the chapter name and then a summary. And I was really, really on them about, I don't want this summary to be all the way down to the bottom. So again, this is one of those boxes that was put in on top of a piece that looked like a yellow notebook. So here's her summary. Diggory curiously waits for Jadis and Uncle Andrew to arrive back home. But when she pulls in, the police are right on her tail. Diggory goes outside so he can touch Jadis with the yellow ring, but he has to get past the kicking horse that Jadis is on first. This student really loved me because I handed her the entire Chronicles of Narnia. That's like 1,000 and something pages. But I knew she'd like it, and she did. So we learned how to take a photo of a page that you're annotating and insert it into your notebook. And that was a new skill that they learned and got really good at. So all they had to do was show one page they annotated. And I really, frankly, didn't care if they read, say they read 20 pages in that chapter and they only annotated one. That was fine with me. I just wanted to see that they knew how to do it. The next thing they did was, in this chapter, what did you find that reminded you of something in your life? Because, they're always saying you got to connect it back to your life to find a hook, to hang something on so you remember. And she said, Diggory waited for Jadis like I wait when I'm curious or eager for something specific to happen, like if we had guests coming over or if Dad came home to cook dinner. Then the last thing they did was, in this chapter, what sentence did you think was the most important and why? And that's a fun one. Out of the whole chapter, what sentence do you think is the most important? So that really, really requires some critical thinking and some decision making. And then, of course, they had to explain why. And this pattern repeats over and over and over. So it's the same. She's still going there. Let me go down here, but it's the same thing over and over. So they have this, 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 and this. And if they got to the end and they still had more chapters, they knew how to add them. So that was the active reading one. Now, I mentioned to you that Teachers Pay Teachers does have some notebooks that you can purchase. They're different prices. They're on different things. But I'm going to show you a minute. I do have a video that tells you how to develop your own also. This is not a very long session, so I don't really have time to get into a whole lot of that kind of thing. But I did want to show you that there is there. You can just type in digital notebook templates. That's a good way to start, and you will find a lot of things that way. So these are videos that I will help you do what I don't have time to do with you today. And you will have access to these. So I'm going to tell you what they are and why I like them. All right, this was where I got my start. There are people that talk about how to create digital notebooks on YouTube. I watched quite a few of them. Hers to me is the most sensible, makes easy to follow, really, really good. You can actually follow her on YouTube. She has a lot of things that are really good for teachers and technology. But this one, you watch it, she's going to get you started. Now, this was one that I created, and it is going to show you how to create the cover for a digital notebook. And you're going to watch me go through. If we have time, I'll show some of these, but I'm going to go through everything first. It'll be me talking, and you'll watch me make up a pretend one. I'll do it with Roald Dahl. So I'll show you exactly how I made the cover. This particular video here is going to show you how I made the body of the notebooks, the things that I did and how I pulled stuff in. So it's going to show you that. This is one that I wanted to share with you just simply because kids like this, and it's so simple. I know I've told people that there were so many things that came out this year for teachers that, you're just like a baby putting in one of those jumpy houses with all those colored balls. They don't know which one to pick up first. And so they just, grab them all. That wasn't going to work for me. I knew it wasn't going to work. So I just selected maybe 3 or 4 and felt like comfortable with them. And I thought, I'll wait and look at the others later. I don't want to be confused. Kialo is a discussion board. How it works is you put a question and then the kids can all log in. This is going to tell you exactly how to use it. It's not hard at all. They really like it. And they put an opinion, and it's a positive, I agree, or no, I don't agree. And they have to tell why. And it pops up on the screen and they can see it. This is what I used when I created what I call the Digital Media Center, the slide that comes up every day and tells them exactly what we're going to do and focus on. This is a really easy one to do. They're fun to do. They're not hard at all. So don't let it scare you. You've seen a lot of these, and probably most of you or a lot of you have these. All right. The last one on this one is how to share those notebooks. Now, that is something that I learned the hard way. But if you're going to share a digital notebook with a student, you have to do that by sharing it one-on-one. So like if you're in Google Slides and I make a copy of the notebook. And so let's say I'm going to share it with Anne. I don't want other kids in Anne's notebook. So I'm going to share this one I created. It's going to be hers, but I'm going to have to give her editing rights. Now, there's a way around that. If you use Google Classroom, you can take a notebook, and this is going to explain that, so I probably should just shut up. But you can take a notebook and you can put all your students' names on the share where the notebook is, and put all your students' names, and then go to Google Classroom, go to where you create the lessons, put the notebook there, and then make a copy for each student. And they have their own copy. They don't see anyone else's. This is something else. This is another instructional video. I wanted to show you an example of the type of videos that I put on the digital media center, and a lot of them I made, and I absolutely love Screencastify. And if you don't use Screencastify, check it out. It's really good instructional videos. And I honestly found I talk too much. I know you can't believe that, but I do talk too much. And the kids probably are saying, thank goodness she found that Screencastify. She can explain something for 45 minutes and then we have 5 minutes to do it. So it forces me to, because it's 3 minutes. And honestly, if you can't explain something in 3 minutes, then you probably need to do something else or break it down. And those are posted. And so for kids who maybe need to have that direction again, they can get in that digital media center and watch the video on how to do it. This is another one that I love. I probably won't touch it today with you, but if you'll notice at the top of my screen, you can see all these folders that are here in the bookmarks bar. This was so nice because see, here's my presentation today, and you can see I've got 1,000 things I want to open up and show you. Here is the 6th graders. So on the 6th grade notebook, I have everything I use for 6th grade. It's just right there in one place. This is a lot life-changing. I'm going to tell you, it's so life-changing. Instead of going and hunting everything up and going to your Google Drive, it's not hard to do. It's very, very easy to do. And this is going to tell you how to do that. Here's another one that had some more things on sharing digital notebooks. If you'll look at this one, I keep doing that, I'm sorry. This might be something that you don't need but it's pretty good. This is on Google Classroom. It's a good one. Here's another instructional video that I had on one of those digital media centers, and it was showing the kids how to take a picture of their annotation and upload it into their notebook. And so it stayed on that digital media center. So when they got home, they could open that up and they could see how to do it if they had forgotten, because I would have. Here's the thing on Google Classroom for parents that's good for some of your parents. I do love Canva. This is a video about it. And this is one you might want to need. Now, I'm going to tell you, I found out, I was afraid this was going to be a big issue on creating the notebooks, because you're like, well, what if a kid accidentally deletes something? It's in that notebook. Well, as long as you show them how to click that, back, the arrow that goes back to the left, they can put it back. But if you do want to lock images on a notebook, I did with the covers and different things, this is going to tell you how to lock those images. Edpuzzle is a good way to make sure kids are watching videos and thinking, because it stops every once in a while and they have a question they have to answer. Pretty good trick.
Tricia, just a reminder, we have 5 minutes left.
Okay, all right. I'm just about to the end of that, so we're doing great. And then right here, this is how to remove background from images. If you're going to make your media center, this would be a good thing for you to know how to do. And then this tells you how to use Screencastify. So I'm going to get back over here. I have shared this note book, or it's actually a file and I mentioned this to you earlier, underneath where you signed up for this session. And this is what is all in there. All of the notebooks I showed you are here. I don't think there is one that isn't. Links are here. The videos are here, but you will need to send me an email and say, I need the rights to your notebook. And so I guess what? I bet you I finished with 2 minutes to spare. That's pretty good for me. If you have any questions, you can email me and let me know what it is. I think it's on our schedule. And thank you. I did it. I got done in time. Is your head spinning?
You did perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. There was a lot of information here, and I'm going to have to go back through and watch your video. I did record this session, so everyone will have access to this. If you need to put her in slow motion or pause as she goes through this.
I resemble that remark.
No, it's great. You did awesome. It's great. We are going to be, there is a lunch break after this. So the next session is at 12:15. And you're welcome to spend the next few minutes. Let's see, you still have, 5 minutes or so.
Oh, really? I'm surprised. Okay.
About 4 minutes, but we're good. So let's use those. Let's see. Also, don't forget to, oh, Dustin just sent me a reminder. You have an hour for lunch. Don't forget to turn in your bingo cards with the shirt, the learn something new. Turn those in by 4 p.m. And that's all the announcements I have. So
Okay.
thank you.
Adios.
Thank you.
Grilled cheese for me.
Looks great.